How's it going, everybody? It's Chase here. Tonight is Saturday night, and I'm bored, so I wanted to do a video on my Yu-Gi-Oh strategies. So I went ahead and shuffled my Yu-Gi-Oh deck. I got my extra deck over here. My deck's right here. And I thought I'd simulate a game. Alright, draw my first 5 cards. Four and 5. Okay. So what I would do in this situation, let me read the text on Sage with Eyes of Blue, because he's the only card I have that I can actually summon right now. When this card is normal summon, you can add one level 1 tuner from your deck to your hand, except Sage with Eyes of Blue. You can discard this card and target one effect monster and send it to the graveyard. Okay? So what I would do is I would normal summon Sage with Eyes of Blue in attack mode. His effect would now activate, which would allow me to add a level 1 tuner from my deck to my hand. So I would add the White Stone of Ancients to my hand. I shuffle my deck and carry on. I would then set offerings to the doomed face down, as well as United We Stand. I would then end my turn, my opponent would make their move, and then I would make my first draw. I draw, I get polymerization. Okay, now chances are in this situation my opponent would have attacked and destroyed my Sage with Eyes of Blue, and I would have taken a couple points worth of damage, and this card would go to the graveyard. And this time round I would set, normal set, face down in defense mode, the White Stone of Ancients. I would then end my turn. My opponent would make their move, because it's their turn. Most likely they would attack this and destroy it. However, White Stone of Ancients effect would activate, which says, once per turn during the end phase, if this card is in the graveyard because it was sent there this turn, you can special summon one Blue Eyes monster from your deck. You can banish this card from your graveyard, and then target one Blue Eyes monster in your graveyard and add it to your hand. You can only use this effect of the White Stone of Ancients once per turn. So this effect would basically be my opponent's biggest mistake, because now the Blue Eyes White Dragon comes onto the field, and getting rid of him is going to be a hell of a challenge, especially this early on, unless they've got Mirror Force or some kind of trap card that would negate it. And I just shuffled my entire hand into my deck. Okay. What cards did I have? I know I had Rude Kaiser. I had Crystal Dragon. Rude Kaiser, where are you? I had Polymerization. Okay. Oh, I sat him behind the camera, my bad. I would put one of these and one copy of Polymerization back in my deck because I messed up. Go ahead and shuffle. Okay. I would then end my turn because, again, I have no other moves to make. My opponent would attack, but they're going to hit a brick wall that is the Blue Eyes White Dragon. So it would be my turn again. And once again, I get a good card. And in this situation, I would end my turn because I drew Blue Eyes. I would attack with my Blue Eyes White Dragon, destroy whatever monster they have, and end my turn. They would make their move. I would draw my next card. I drew Ancient Rules, so I would go ahead and activate that, which would let me special summon my second Blue Eyes White Dragon without tributing. Okay, so now I would pretty much attack, and chances are that would be game, because that's 6,000 damage on their opponent. On my opponent. Alright, but this is a simulation just to see how long I could go to pull off whatever moves I could. So I would end my turn after attacking, and then I would make my next draw. So I draw my card. I drew Soul Charge. I would go ahead and set that face down. I would go ahead and activate the effect United We Stand, or the special card, the field spell, or equip spell, United We Stand, and equip it to one of my Blue Eyes, and now he's got 800 bonus attack points. I would then end my turn, and it would be my opponent's turn. They would do their move. I would draw my next card, and end my turn, because I drew the Judge Man. My opponent would do their move. I would attack with my Blue Eyes, draw. This is where things get kind of worrisome, because I would normally, if I felt confident, I would activate the quick play spell card, Rage with Eyes of Blue, which would mean that I'd have to banish every card that I have except for the Blue Eyes on the field from my graveyard and these set cards. So I wouldn't activate that card unless it's a real dire stretch. I would end my turn because it would be their turn. I draw my next card, and then again, this time around I drew Blue Eyes Abyss Dragon. Let me read his effect. It says, if this card was special summoned, you can add one ritual spell or one polymerization from your deck to your hand. During the end phase, you can add one level 8 higher or monster from your deck to your hand. You can banish this card from your graveyard. All level 8 or higher monsters you control gain 1,000 attack. You can only use the effect of Blue Eyes Abyss Dragon once per turn, and can only activate them while the Blue Eyes White Dragon is on your field or in your graveyard. Okay, so I wouldn't do anything again, and I've got 6 cards in my hand. If I remember correctly, you can only have 7, so which means if I don't draw a good card, I got to discard one of these cards. My opponent would make their move after I attack. I draw again. I would then set the White Stone of Ancient face down in defense mode and end my turn. My opponent would do their thing. I would do my next draw, and chances are they didn't attack, so I would tribute summon, send this to the graveyard to special summon Crystal Dragon. Now, I can attack with Crystal Dragon now, destroy one of my opponent's monsters, and I could activate its effect, which allows me to add one level 8 or higher monster from my deck to my hand. So I would add the copy of Blue Eyes Alternative White Dragon from my deck to my hand. I shuffle. And then, this is where things get pretty freaking wild. I would then activate the magic card, or spell card, Polymerization. I would send Blue Eyes Alternative White Dragon to the graveyard, Blue Eyes White Dragon to the graveyard, and another Blue Eyes White Dragon to the graveyard to fusion summon, and take things to the maximum level to summon my personal favorite out of the special evolutions of Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon to special summon Blue Eyes Alternative Ultimate Dragon. Now that he's on the field, a victory is pretty much automatic. because his effect, since I used Alternative White Dragon's effect, since I used Alternative White Dragon as one of the material to fusion summon him, I would be able to destroy up to 3 cards on the field that my opponent controls, which is really good. But I would have to destroy this card because I sent the Blue Eyes White Dragon that was equipped to it to the graveyard. I would then attack with Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon, and again with Crystal Dragon, and chances are, again, that would be the end of the game. But we're not doing it like that. So my opponent would try to fight back. Chances are they don't have a move. I draw a Pot of Duality. This lets me see the top 3 cards of my deck. I can choose one, but I have to shuffle the other 2 back into my deck. So I activate Pot of Duality. I got Mystical Space Typhoon, Ancient Rules, and Monster Reborn. Out of these 3, I'm going to take Ancient Rules. Why? Because I have an actual use for it. Now that I've used that card and its effect has been resolved, I would get to continue my turn. I would activate Ancient Rules to special summon the Judge Man. This goes back and goes to the graveyard now because I used it, and I would end my turn. Chances are I would attack with my monsters, and that would be it. My opponent would do their next turn. And I drew the card, the Melody of Awakening Dragon. But all of my high-level attack monsters with 3000 attack and defense are in my graveyard. So that card's virtually worthless right now. I would end my turn after making my attacks, chances are. I would draw. I drew Mirror Force. I set that face down and end my turn. My opponent would then attack, but I would destroy all of his monsters because Mirror Force. And he would end his turn, and then I would make my turn. I activate Shard of Greed because I drew it. This lets me add counters for every time I draw a card. Once I get 2 counters on it, I can draw 2 cards. So I end my turn. My opponent would do their turn. I would draw my next card, Maiden with Eyes of Blue. And I would... Okay. In this situation, I want to get Blue Eyes Abyss Dragon on the field. So I would tribute this guy and this guy. Crystal Dragon and the Judge Man. Send them to the graveyard to tribute summon Blue Eyes Abyss Dragon. I would then end my turn. My opponent would do their thing. I draw. I summon. I got Force Raider. I am going to summon Maiden with Eyes of Blue, but they're not going to stay around for long because I'm going to send Blue Eyes Abyss Dragon and Maiden with Eyes of Blue to the graveyard to synchro summon Azure Eyes Silver Dragon in defense mode. Now Silver Dragon's effect is really useful because it lets me special summon a Blue Eyes from my graveyard every turn, and I would end my turn with that. My next move after my opponent, I draw. That's one token, one counter on this card. I would then summon out Force Raider in attack mode, and I would end my turn. My opponent would do their thing. I would draw. I have Mystical Space Typhoon, which is useful if my opponent tries to counter me. So I'll go ahead and set that face down. And now I'll go ahead and activate Azure Eyes Silver Dragon's effect, which lets me special summon one of my dragons from my graveyard. So I'll special summon the Blue Eyes White Dragon back to the field. And now, once again, I would attack or whatever, move on to my next stage. My opponent would do their thing. Chances are they don't have anything that can fight back. I would draw again. I drew White Elephant's Gift. So I'm going to go ahead and activate it. This lets me target one monster that I have, one normal monster. And I can just send it to the graveyard, this one. Vorse Raider. And it would let me draw 2 new cards. So I drew Gene Warped Werewolf and Y Dragon Head. This card is useless now. Now that I have two spell counters on this, I can go ahead and activate it, and that would let me draw 2 new cards. So I drew another Vorse Raider and another Gene Warped Werewolf. But now I have way too many cards in my hand, so I've got to discard some. So I'm going to discard, how many cards do I have in my hand? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so I got to discard 2. So I'm going to get rid of Rage with Eyes of Blue and Melody of Awakening Dragon. Send those to the graveyard. And end my turn. My opponent would do their thing, and it would be my turn again. I would draw. I got Monster Reborn, so I'm going to go ahead and special summon back to the field Blue Eyes White Dragon. So now I've got 2 on the field. Send Monster Reborn to the graveyard and end my turn. My opponent would do their thing. I would draw. Now I drew Card Destruction. Now this card is very useful, but I don't need it right now, so I'm just going to set it face down. And I'm going to go ahead and special summon, or normal summon, Gene Warped Werewolf in attack mode, and I'm going to end my turn. My opponent would do their thing. I draw. Ooh-hoo. I got Obelisk the Tormentor. This game is over now. I would tribute summon. I would send Gene Warped Werewolf to the graveyard. Blue Eyes White Dragon 1 to the graveyard. And Azure Eyes Silver Dragon to the graveyard. To special summon my Egyptian God card, Obelisk the Tormentor. I would then end my turn and let my opponent do their turn, and then I would make my next draw. And since I have, I'm going to go ahead and set or summon Z Metal Tank in attack mode and end my turn. I draw. After my opponent makes their move, I would go ahead and normal summon Y Dragon Head and end my turn. My opponent would do their thing. My turn again. A Assault Core is what I drew. Okay. I am going to attack with my monsters, Blue Eyes and Obelisk and all them. Chances are they don't have anything to fight back, so I'm just going to end my turn instead. I draw. I got Gold Sarcophagus. This card is very useful because it lets me basically search out one card. So I'll go ahead and activate it. And I can banish it for 1 turn. But at the end of that turn, I can add it from my deck to my hand. Or I can add it from the banished side of the field to my hand. So I'm going to search out. Okay. I'm going to search out Crush Card Virus. I get to banish that. I would shuffle my deck afterwards. Okay, I think I have too many cards in my hand. 3, 7. Okay. I would end my turn with that. And at the end of my turn, I can add Crush Card Virus back to my hand. But I would have to discard 1 card. So I would discard Gene Warped Werewolf and end my turn. I would then make my next draw after my opponent made their move. Now, this is where things get kind of tricky because there's too many monsters on the field. As you can see, I've got 5 cards. I'm going to set this card face down, and I'm going to end my turn with that. My opponent would do their thing. I would draw. I got Mystical Space Typhoon again, but I got to get rid of a card, so I'll get rid of Vorse Raider. End my turn. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. And I would end my turn. My opponent would do their thing. Again, I draw. I drew Raigeki. I am going to discard Mystical Space Typhoon and end my turn. I draw. I got Sea Crush Wyvern. Now, this, if I remember correctly, I do have the spare, or not the spare, but the fusion for him. Okay, I don't. I didn't add it back to my extra deck. Okay. But if I did, I would fusion summon AVC Dragon Cannon, or Dragon Buster Cannon, or something. I don't remember the name of it. It's the AVC fusion between A Assault Core, B Buster Drake, and C Crush Wyvern. But since I don't have them, I would just, again, end my turn. But I would have to discard 1 card, so I'm going to discard Soul Exchange and end my turn. I draw. I'm going to discard Mystical Space Typhoon, end my turn again. I drew Crystal Dragon, discard him again. Draw. I got Polymerization. Well, I'm in kind of a pickle. I'm going to discard Polymerization again. Draw. Gemini Elf. I'm going to discard her to the graveyard. Draw. And this is about the point where I start bricking. Usually. Monster Reborn. I'm going to go ahead and discard Raigeki. Draw. Discard. Okay, here we go. Okay, it's starting to come together. I would activate Tribute to the Doomed. I can target 1 face up on the field, destroy that target, but I have to discard. I have to skip my next draw phase. So, I am actually going to destroy Z Metal Tank and end my turn. But since its effect, my opponent would make their move, I can't do anything, so I would have to just skip my draw phase. Okay. Now that I've got space on the field, I'm going to summon Soggy the Dark Clown. Now this is where, if this was earlier on in the game and I drew these 2 cards, I would be in much better shape. I'm going to scoot things over so you can see it. I would then attack with Soggy the Dark Clown. My trap card would activate. I would activate Crush Card Virus. And I would use Soggy the Dark Clown to attack my opponent. And now that Soggy the Dark Clown is infected with the virus, I can destroy up to 3 powerful monsters out of my opponent's deck. Which means that they're pretty much screwed. But with that, I'm going to end my turn. Maiden with Eyes of Blue again. And this is where I would pretty much swing for game. I would tribute summon Blue Eyes White Dragon by discarding Soggy the Dark Clown and Y Dragon Head now. To special summon, or to tribute summon, the regular Blue Eyes White Dragon. Now, I'm going to send these 2 to the graveyard to fusion summon the Blue Eyes Twin Burst Dragon. This card. Because you don't have to use Polymerization as long as you have 2 Blue Eyes. So I summon him, and this is where the game is pretty much over. I would attack with Blue Eyes Twin Burst, Obelisk the Tormentor, and Blue Eyes Alternative Ultimate Dragon for game, because my opponent, chances are, has run out of options to fight back, and I seem to have drew every card I needed. Alright, so that was a cool little test run. So next, I am going to do a simulation on my Dark Magician deck. Now, my Dark Magician deck I built based on Yugi from Yu-Gi-Oh! It's a very generic kind of Dark Magician deck. It's not a very competitive, but it does hold its own. So I'm going to go get it real quick, and then I'm going to do a test run with it. Alright, here we go. Got my Dark Magician deck. I'm going to go ahead and just do a quick shuffle. This is how I was taught to play, how to shuffle my Yu-Gi-Oh deck. It's 5 piles of cards, and you just kind of throw them all together. And then you would do a normal shuffle. Now, it's been a while since I've used my Dark Magician deck, so it's probably going to take me a couple minutes to get used to the strategy once again. So, alright. This has no extra deck. I don't do an extra deck for them. Sorry, my throat's getting kind of sore. Alright. Now I'm going to cut the deck. Okay, it's been cut. Draw my top 5 cards. So right off the bat, I've got a pretty good opening hand. I got Slifer, 2 Dark Magicians, 1 Alexandrite, and 1 Blackluster Soldier. Okay, I would then move my deck over here, and the game would start. Depending on if I rolled a if I flipped a high, not high, but a heads or tails, my opponent would decide if they want to go first or second. I usually let them go first. It would be my turn after they would make their move. I would summon Alexandrite Dragon in attack mode. And end my turn. My opponent would do their thing. Since I've got a 2000 attack point monster on the field, I'm feeling pretty confident. I would end my turn. My opponent would do their turn. I would draw. And now I feel like I'm starting to brick. I drew a Magician of Black Chaos Max. I end my turn after attacking with Alexandrite. I draw. Perfect. I drew Blackluster Ritual. So I would send one of my Dark Magicians to the graveyard. You'll see the strategy coming together here in a minute. That would let me special summon Blackluster Soldier. Now, Blackluster Soldier is just as strong as a regular Blue Eyes White Dragon. He's got 3000 attack and 2500 defense. So I'm going to go ahead and ritual summon him. Send these 2 to the graveyard over here. And I'm going to end my turn with that. Draw. Perfect. I drew the Dark Magician Girl. So I'm going to tribute Alexandrite Dragon to summon out the Dark Magician Girl. And since she gains 300 attack for every Dark Magician or Magician of Black Chaos that's in my graveyard, she has now 2300 attack points. So, feeling pretty good with that. I end my turn, attack, and then end my turn. I draw. Magical Stone Excavation. And end my turn. My opponent would do their thing. I would draw. Dark Burning Magic. That's what I drew. I end my turn again. Foolish Burial. Now this is a good card. I'm going to activate it right now. I can send one card from my deck to the graveyard. So I'm going to send Magician of Black Chaos to the graveyard. She now has 2,600 attack points. My Dark Magician girl. I shuffle my deck. And carry on. After sending this to the graveyard. And end my turn. My opponent did their thing. I draw. I drew Alpha the Magnet Warrior. Now is where things get kind of tricky. I'm going to set Alpha in defense mode and end my turn. I would then let my opponent do their thing. I would draw. I can pay half my life points using Dark Magic Curtain to special summon from my hand the Dark Magician. I would then activate Dark Burning Magic and use it with my Dark Magician and Dark Magician Girl to destroy all of my opponent's monsters. Or all of the cards they control. I would end my turn. Draw again. I drew Shard of Greed. And I'll end my turn. My opponent would do their thing. I would draw again. Now I'm feeling pretty confident. So I'm going to go ahead and do this. I'm going to send Alpha to the graveyard. Dark Magician and Blackluster Soldier to the graveyard. To special summon Slifer the Sky Dragon. And end my turn with that. I draw after my opponent does their thing. That's one token on that. Or one counter on that, I mean. I would end my turn. They would do their thing. I would draw. That's two. I can go ahead and activate this and draw two new cards. I drew Buster Blader and Supply Squad. So I'm going to go ahead and activate Supply Squad. And Slifer has 6,000 attack points now because I'm holding 6 cards in my hands. I would end my turn, draw. He has 7,000. I could attack with Dark Magician Girl and then have Slifer attack and destroy his second monster. And that would be game because 7,000. And that was my Dark Magician deck. It's pretty cool. So, now I need to probably show off my Red Eyes Black Dragon deck, but I'm going to be honest with you, it's not the most reliable. But I'm going to go ahead and go grab it real quick and do one more